Welcome everyone to the second H20 Smart Glasses Community Meetup. It's great to see everybody. Please feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat, say hello, say where you're calling in from, say what you do and why you're interested in smart glasses. Please everyone mute yourselves as well if you're not speaking. So we're a community of users and developers and industry and researchers all interested in smart glasses, and we're all dedicated to accelerating and positively shaping the future of smart glasses, trying to actually move things forward. So we're putting on these events as an opportunity for everyone in the community to come together to learn about some of the cutting edge use cases of smart glasses and some of the technology that's coming out and being developed around smart glasses. So for this call, we're going to start with some presentations. We have a few really great presentations lined up. Then we're going to have a Q&A where everybody can ask questions to the presenters who just spoke. And you can feel free to just speak out loud when that time comes. And then at the end, we're going to finish off with a pretty free-flowing networking discussion session where we're just going to have a conversation about smart glasses for the last few minutes. So since we have a big lineup and agenda for today, let's get started. So we're going to have three speakers. We have Alex Westner, who's going to be talking about live captions for the deaf. We have Tom Fleay, who's talking about remote mentoring and deploying smart glasses for enterprise. And we also have Aaditya Vaze, who's going to be talking about language learning apps and education in XR. So starting off, we're going to have Alex Westner. He is the CEO at Xander, and they're working on caption glasses to help people with hearing loss. Alex has a master's from the Media Lab at MIT and a long history of technical product strategy, especially in audio. So Alex, excited to hear what you have to say about your caption glasses for hard of hearing, and take it away. Now I don't see Alex. I know I saw him a second ago. Maybe he, there he is. Hey, Alex. You're muted, but I just introduced you, and you can go ahead and start.
Awesome. Cool. I just joined. I have no idea what's happening, but I'm here, which is great. I had it wasn't working on Safari, so I just switched to Chrome, which is obvious, but so great. So Xander is here because we are using AR for, I think, what's an interesting cause, which is if you look at augmented reality, if you think about the reality of people that have disabilities, augmented reality is kind of an amazing concept. So using AR to, as some people say, level up. I don't know if I like level up, but at least to assist people with hearing loss, vision loss, etc., is very interesting. And the way our company is trying to make a difference is through sensory substitution. So there are a lot of interesting products and companies making products for vision loss where, like, for example, there's a company called Orcam that has a device that attaches to glasses and does OCR and optical recognition, and then tries to translate what's happening in the world and speaks to you in a speaker at the back of what's happening, of describing the visual scene. It's really cool. We're doing the opposite. So for people with hearing loss, we are trying to analyze the audioscape in front of you and present visual information using smart glasses. So that is our application. And I thought, instead of sharing presentations and slides, I would just try to show you video of how the stuff works. So I'm going to play a couple videos. When you can't hear what someone is. Okay, now I have to figure out how to share. This is all really exciting. Wait. I'm sorry. I had all this queued up. Promise. Okay. Sharing is share. If I share video, will it also share audio?
I believe so. We could hear it a second ago.
Oh, I could just wow, I can type in a YouTube link. That's fantastic. I can just do this. Does it actually work? Oh, are you saying that there's no video?
Guys, I can see the video just fine. Just click the video in the right sidebar if you can't see it.
Okay.
And you'll be able to watch the video.
Just gonna rewind a bit. So this is behind the glasses of what this experience is like. Oh, cool. So that was one video, and I'm going to show you one more video, and then I will be sort of done. No, leave the meeting. I still think this is a cool interface. So,
What do you think of this?
this link. Gotta change the video. Stop sharing. Wow, I don't know how to stop sharing. All right, I'll do it a different way. When you can't hear with, yeah. Okay. Cool.
Well, it's interesting.
Wow, I don't really know. I'm having a hard time with this interface
Well, you
here.
can see it now. Xander
Okay, you see
glasses at AWE.
perfect. Okay. Are you hearing it?
I mean,
Yep.
I feel like we're getting closed captions.
I could hear it a moment ago. Can't hear it now, but we can see it.
I guess this is just a fail. I don't know. Sorry about that. Well, okay, I'm going to abort this. So basically, I was trying to share people's reactions because I think that's the part that's most meaningful is, you're not doing anything useful unless it's actually helping people. So we did a video of people. We went to Augmented Reality, the Augmented World Expo in Santa Clara in June. We ran into Meryl Evans, who's a thought leader and speaker about accessibility tech, and she is practically deaf. And this was a very noisy outdoor party. We put the glasses on her, and she's also an expert lip reader, and so so she was kind of cheating because she could still read lips. So then we put a mask on the person, and then we gave her the glasses, and she was following along in a conversation in a noisy environment where she couldn't lip read, and it was kind of stunning for her. And so we've since become really good friends, but that was definitely a key moment for us to validate that, yes, this is useful and helpful and impactful. So I'll stop there.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. Very cool. You can, I think your screen's still sharing, so you can unshare that, and please post the YouTube videos in the chat for everybody to see. Yeah, so next up we have Tom Fleay. Tom's the owner and director of Vuyu. He leads the deployment of enterprise smart glasses. So they deploy smart glasses use case for the enterprise. And he's been working in that space for multiple years and has tons of experience in this deployment. Vuyu is also a partner with Vuzix. Most of you probably know Vuzix, and we just saw some demos on Vuzix glasses. So Tom's going to talk about remote mentorship use cases and what he's learned deploying smart glasses to enterprise. So take it away, Tom.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Wonderful stuff. Thank you very much for having us. Yeah, my name's Tom Fleay, Director of Vuyu. I work very closely with Vuzix. Very excited to be here. I just want to start this off with just saying, Caden, thank you very much for putting this all together, from our communication and the website and everything. Putting H20 smart glasses community together is no probably easy task. It's probably required a lot of work. So you're a pioneer, a frontiersman of this industry, so thank you very much. And just as a quick side note, for anyone who's been watching some of Caden's videos in the last couple of months, I'm someone who's very jealous of them. I think you do a brilliant job, so I've got to pick up my game there, Caden.
Thanks, Tom.
But moving on from that, yeah. So once again, yeah, thank you very much. I might start off, Caden, just so I'm staying on the right track. I'm obviously we'll talk about the technology, but also just spend 1 or 2 minutes on talking about how we're commercializing it, the business side, in order to help a lot of these companies. Is that fitting for this community?
Sounds great.
Perfect stuff. Everyone, I come from a trade background, so I'm helping to try and solve, I guess, frontline issues and inspections and maintenance from a trade perspective. I'm an electrician by trade, have worked in oil and gas, mining, renewable energy, inspections, maintenance, and all of that. And I guess part of how we got to where we are today is because before diving into this industry and this market I was the market in some respects. I was running my own electrical contracting business and working for a number of companies, and noticed this is a massive issue on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. We had electricians and general technicians, tradespeople who were not getting the remote assistance that they need or the tech support that they need. And the attempt to try and do the WhatsApp calls, the phone calls, text messages, send a couple of emails backwards and forwards, it was resulting in a lot of issues where if we had eyes and ears on the ground, this issue would be resolved in 2 minutes, but we were sitting there for 45 minutes or an hour and a half. And it was causing a lot of issues, not just for the technicians on site, but from a commercial standpoint when it came to invoicing and business in general. That's why I obviously started doing a lot of research, got involved in this very early, and have started up my own company to help solve this problem. What did we find? Just quickly, all my experiences have been based on my work with Vuzix. I can't vouch for other brands or wearables at this stage, so I've done it all specifically with Vuzix up to this point. We got involved, started up Vuyu, and very quickly we started assessing what is actually the priority within the wearable space. What are we able to actually go to market with and help companies with, and what do people want to solve? We've got everything from remote mentoring, which I'm going to focus more on. There's use cases such as workflow inspections and X picking, and then there's a number of different consumer applications. But we noticed and understood that there's a lot of these interesting applications, but they're not ready to be scaled yet, and not all companies are actually ready for them or interested in them. So presenting to them the idea of running a workflow task or an inspection checklist on the glasses, it was great, and they like the sounds of it, but they're simply not ready for it. So we understood that. We see a lot on YouTube, LinkedIn, and all of that of the different use cases and applications, but what the market is ready for and what the technology is actually effective for is we have found in our experiences smaller than what's been broadcasted. So we realized, okay, the thing that companies want and are trying to resolve is getting eyes and ears on the ground for technicians. So it was very simple. Let's focus on remote mentoring as much as we possibly can. And we're helping companies, everything from in the medical field, utilities, mining, the general frontline worker, whether they're the electrician or the mechanic. Just going through some notes. Okay. I thought I might, most of a good portion of our clients is because I come from a trade background. Most of them are your mechanics, mechanical fitters and electricians. Those are the people who we've been helping primarily. And obviously there's other occupations opening up. We have found that there's, for each software solution, depending on what they're using, out of all the different tools and features within each software application, not all of them are being used and not all of them are actually a priority. There's probably 8 to 10 different tools and features you can use within remote mentoring effectively. But we have found most of our clients and the projects we've been involved in, it's only 3 or 4 that are being used consistently. Just to outline those 3 or 4, digital zoom, torch, taking snapshots for 2D AR annotations, things just confined to that have been really effective and companies are using frequently. But other things such as document share, they rarely get used. The feedback we get from our clients is they're not a priority. We rarely have to use them. So it gives you an idea of all the different tools and features that companies are trying to push forward and promote to service these companies and clients. They're effective, but they're not being used all that much. Just quickly go down a bit. I'll just touch base a little bit on feedback we've got from our clients with remote mentoring. Obviously, as it's helping them a lot, and most of the feedback is really good. But a couple of limitations currently, which is preventing a lot of companies from using it on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, is simple network connectivity. I mean, there's pockets within all suburban and metropolitan areas where they cannot get the right LTE, 4G, 5G connectivity for them to be able to actually carry out an effective call for them to solve a problem. That means, that's one issue. And a number of these companies have to work remotely. They go into remote locations where connectivity becomes an issue as well. So that is a barrier to this scaling, where we're relying on other technologies to improve. What else is there? Feedback in regards to disorientation. I'd be really interested to hear other people's experiences in regards to what they've got from other people. But we found, and I actually knew this from the start because I experienced this from the beginning, but a lot of technicians and companies are experiencing disorientation. There's a new experience of having a waveguide and a heads-up display positioned in front of either their left or their right eye, where immediately a good portion of them report back there's slight disorientation visually, there's dizziness, slight headaches. The concept of having a different visual line of sight, which is working on one position and then responding to another, is causing that issue. I personally also experienced that from the very beginning, wearing smart glasses, but found very quickly we were adapting to it and it was no longer an issue. So, for me personally, I wear smart glasses nearly every day. I don't have an issue anymore, but we have found for everyone who's just starting to wear them, that seems to be feedback we've got. And we work with them and let them know and reassure them that it for most people, it's not an issue after a couple of weeks or a couple of months. And then the other one is we found just simply the orientation and the navigation of the touchpad and the menu. If you put these smart glasses on on an 18-year-old or a 22-year-old, you really have no issues. They figure out the orientation of navigating through the touchpad and the menu very quickly, and you don't need to show them anything for the most part. But when it comes to the older generations, some of them are still trying to figure out how to navigate through their smartphone. So you put a set of smart glasses on them, and the level of training you need to give them, sometimes it might be spending an hour or two on site with them just to help them navigate the touchpad, let them know finger movements on, going back to the main menu, selecting an application, just so they can feel comfortable enough. And we have found the touchpad in itself and just navigating smart glasses in general is overwhelming enough for a lot of these tradespeople, blue collar, where the idea or the concept of using voice commands, it's way over their head. They're not even nearly ready for it. So we've learned that in a period of time, drip feeding the right information or education is quite key, as opposed to overwhelming them too much. What else can we go into? Just on the commercial side of things, this was assessed about a year ago. We understood that, okay, we've got a growing list of clients. That's going really well. But for a lot of our leads and companies that we're working closely with who are ready to start deploying wearables, we found there was that initial reservation, and we wouldn't, I guess, go ahead on a commercial level because the upfront cost for hardware and software, it's a significant amount. And a lot of them still don't know the ROI that they're going to get on deploying glasses. So we got direct feedback from them stating, listen, we love the technology. We know the value of it, but we're just not ready for it because we found there's an issue with price, and we need to know that we can use it, get our own experience with it directly before we invest. And that became an issue where we'd have a growing number of clients or leads, people requesting demo sets. Can we borrow a demo? Can we borrow it for 2 months? And as a business, it's simply too hard to do. So in the interim, we realized, let's develop a service which allows companies to deploy the glasses, the hardware and the software for any period of time.
We have to wrap up pretty soon, Tom.
Oh, I'm yapping on too much, am I? Sorry. Very quickly. Yeah. So we developed a service called GAS, Glasses as a Service, which is a subscription model. And it gives companies the opportunity to rent out the glasses for a month, 12 months, 24 months. And that gives them the opportunity to test, trial, explore, figure out if this is effective for them. So they can come back to us and then invest that larger upfront capital. Is it working? It's making a big difference. So I've got 3 to 4 headsets out at the moment for companies to be able to trial. And that's giving them a better idea on knowing if they can invest. I'll best stop there. There's so much more I could go on about, but I'll stop there and leave it at that. Thanks very much for that, Caden.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tom. That was super interesting. It's really interesting to hear from the ground floor, somebody who's deploying these things, because we see so many demos and, marketing videos, but hearing about it actually deployed is really cool. So next up, we have Vaze. He's going to speak about language learning tools and education in general in extended reality. Vaze is a researcher and a designer. He's got a master's in mathematics from BITS, and he's a master's candidate right now at OCAD in Toronto, where I met him in Toronto a year or two ago. And he's working on building user interfaces, future interfaces at the ACE Lab at OCAD. So Vaze, thanks a lot for your time. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Caden. I know it's hard to manage these meetups while you're in the RV, traveling across country road trips. Thank you so much, Alex and Tom, for your talk. I really loved the idea that Alex shared, and it was really cool to see how people with impairities can use so much of smart glasses. And Tom, you shared really good insights. I was I'm curious to know more about what your experiments are and in the smart glass industry. Yeah.
There's so much more I want to talk about, but I've got to stop myself at times. So no worries. Later on.
I could see you have a lot of insights and information that you have learned with your experiments. It's great. So I was thinking of talking a bit more about education with smart glass in general, but I would like to specifically talk about the language learning tool. So when I met Caden, that was about the time that I was also working as a part-time design director at a language learning startup. And I was thinking of there's a theory by Stephen Krashen about language learning through immersion, and how we learn our first language. There's practically no effort we put in. We just hear a lot of sentences spoken by our parents and people nearby, and then just we acquire it naturally. So that could be smart glasses could be used to acquire languages, like second language acquisition, without us trying a lot and just having like immersion through the smart glass. So I'll share my screen and I have a small presentation to share. Uh, yeah, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So as you can see on the right, like these are some of the use cases. So basically what we worked on was tool that where you could just wear the Vuzix smart glasses like these, like everyone is talking about, and look at an object and simply see what that object is called in any language that you want to learn. And my aim from this presentation is try to help everyone in this call understand how to build this and understand how easy it is to build tools like this. And everyone should, because there are thousands of such use cases. And like Aiden is also working on the wearable intelligence system that provides all these tools easily that we can like kind of use and work ahead with. Yeah, so these are the smart glasses that like everyone knows about. Vuzix Blade is being used. So how does the system work? So first of all, like in the first step, just takes the camera input from the Vuzix. Then there's a multi-box object tracking going on that knows, that can tag objects and know like this rectangle is streetcar, this rectangle is a car. And the next step, since Vuzix doesn't have any eye tracking, it was difficult to know where the user is looking at. So I just assumed that maybe the user is like, let's show the thing that's most probable that user wants to translate. So looking at the user's center viewpoint and that what is like the closest object to that, trying to figure out that and just translating that in. So this is like what a car is called in French, voiture. Yeah. And yeah, so like they had the app supported like multiple languages, and it also gave pronunciation when you looked at an object. So what were the tools used for the prototype? So we like just I just started with a TensorFlow Lite. There's a sample app available on GitHub. I just installed it directly on Vuzix Blade, and it does. It started doing offline real time multiple object recognition. So that was a really easy start. And the next thing that I wanted to do was just take this tag and translate it. There was an offline translate API by Android that just did translation real time offline. So the entire thing works without internet and doesn't even need any other power. It works on smart glasses themselves. Later on, we ported this into the wearable intelligence system. So like, the Caden has a video about it where he talks about different language learning tools that we made. So there's the GitHub repo link here. So you just like wear the glasses, look at different things, and it'll translate, and you could hear the pronunciation. Yeah. So this is the next prototype that I'm working on using HoloLens 2, where it's part of my thesis where I'm building a platform which could be used by educators to create mixed reality lessons. And language learning is just a beginning and the first prototype that I worked on. Yeah, that's it. I just kept it short and sweet so that I could go into details if anyone has any questions. The main idea is just to teach everyone like how simple it is to start and do build prototypes like these. And since like there are thousands of such different use cases that we could make, like live captions or having image recognition and doing interesting stuff with that, is something that everybody should experiment with. And this is a new revolution which everybody can be a part of.
Awesome. Thank you, Vaze, very much. So, yeah, those were three really interesting presentations. I personally have a few questions, and that's what we're going to move into right now is a Q&A. So anybody, if you have any questions for Alex, for Tom, or for Vaze, just feel free to just speak up, really. If you want to raise your hand, go ahead. If you want to drop them in the chat, maybe preface it with saying it's a question, then go ahead. So Taryn has a question. Go ahead, Taryn.
Hey guys, I'm Tron, and this is the first meetup for me. So, and I was really impressed when I, looked at the videos of Kaden. So I'll be quick. A couple of questions for Tom actually, and since Tom is already quite ahead in his projects and he's already deploying his products. So I just wanted to understand, like, what part of this whole product was the biggest challenge in terms of cost? Like you're saying that cost is kind of like challenge for you, and customers are a bit reluctant on that. So what kind of cost are we looking at? Like you are selling your product actually.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Wonderful. Yeah, Taran, thank you very much for that question. Very, very good point. The cost wise, in regards, one of the hurdles is obviously there's the hardware, and I'll speak in Australian dollars as well, just to provide context, and you can convert that in your head, I guess, to US, etc., depending on where you're from. There's the hardware cost, which is in Australian dollars, it generates between high 2,000s and around about 3,000 for like an M400 starter kit. That's to give you an idea. And that's not so much of the issue. People were understanding that's, pretty reasonable for the hardware itself. But where it became an issue is in regards to us deploying the software for them. And most software SaaS application solutions at this stage, they require annual subscription requirements, signing up yearly, paying for the users all up front yearly. And that's where we had a hurdle, because some of them require 2 users minimum purchase, 5 users, 10 users minimum purchase, and that cost becomes 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, and they don't know if that's going to give them an effective ROI. That means in some cases you were seeing this 6,000 to 7,000 upfront investment they needed to make, and they really didn't know the ROI or the value they were going to get from it because they haven't had a chance to use it well. And that's why we introduced gas. Gas allows them to enter at a low spot or a low entry fee, trial, test, prove, and then they're quite happy to proceed with that $4,000 to $6,000, $7,000 investment. Does that help answer the question?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, although like I haven't seen the product, so it would be great if you could please share a website link so that it'll be better to understand this thing, because there are several products available in this category, all the way from head mounted to simpler glasses coming from Rocade, Nreal, and then Karen is working one. They look pretty sleek. So I do need to take a look at the product. So that'll be great actually.
Understood. If it works for you, I'm happy to either grab your email address and send you more details, or if you're not happy with that, I can just throw the link in the message.
Works for me anyways. Whatever way it takes. That's fine.
No, I can put my YouTube link in the conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, please do share, Tom. That'd be great. I have a question for Alex. I've worn live captions quite a bit, and then I was at your live stream a week or two ago, and Meryl was talking about how she was switching between reading lips and reading the captions. And I've felt this of, if you overlay the captions right on someone's face, then you have this focus change where you're changing your focus, or if the focus is perfectly aligned, then it's kind of a little weird because it's right overlaid on their face. So I'm wondering what solutions there are to this issue, or what options there are, maybe more like in terms of, should the captions be right on top of somebody or off to the side, and are there times when you need captions and times when you don't? Like I know in a busy, like loud place, you probably need them, especially if you're hard of hearing. But in a one-on-one, face-to-face conversation with someone you've known for years, maybe you don't. Kind of open question there.
I think the answer is a good lesson for anyone doing these AR experiences, which is you have to let the user decide. I don't think it's up to us to decide that. I think as the more people we talk to, the more we learn that everybody wants a different experience. We have heard people say, I really want the captions on top of their face because I want the person I'm talking to feel like I'm looking at them. Even though I'm reading the captions, I want them to think that I'm looking at them. If I'm looking down and away, they're going to think something's wrong with me. Some people say, well, it's weird to have them on your face. That just feels weird to see someone's face being altered, right? So I want the captions where I'm used to seeing them, like on on the TV, which is, you know, below the person's face. Some people say, well, that's weird. I kind of want them next to the person. So what we've learned is we need, as the developers, designers, we need to empower the users to really take control over how they use their information, how they want it displayed, where it's displayed. Font size is an issue. So some people have just take a longer time to process the information. So they want to see as many words as possible because they read a little bit slower. But that's at odds with, well, if I have some vision problems, I may need larger fonts. That means I have less context, right? So everybody is different. I think that's what you learn when you get into accessibility, even. You just learn that everybody is different. And I think that's a great, interesting, fun lesson for all of us.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Does anybody else have any more questions?
Yeah, I've just got a quick follow-up. It just came to me now, and it's for Alex. In regards to that, I guess the user deciding where they want their captions or text positioned. I was doing a lot of testing with the Vuzix developed app on the Blades teleprompt, and I came to learn that you can actually adjust and reposition the captions higher up on the waveguide or lower, etc.
Yeah.
Is that something you're hoping to implement so the user can just change it within the settings?
Yeah. With the Vuzix blades, you pretty much just have up and down. That's the best you can do. We found that we just sort of crank it all the way to the top because the top position, just based on where the waveguide is positioned in the glasses, the waveguide is positioned a little bit lower, which is fine. So we've just found like the default is at the top. Some people want it even higher, and that's as high as we can go. But yeah, so there's a limitation of the actual hardware. We're also testing the Inmo Air glasses where the display is actually at the top. And the display is nice and wide. It's a 640 by 480 display, and it's lovely. It doesn't feel as monocular as the Vuzix glasses do. So I feel like with that display, we also having a 640 by 480 display to show captions is actually too much. And so I'm interested in getting back to that sort of more square space, but then giving the user the option of doing what you're suggesting is positioning left, right within that 640 by 480. You know, what if we did a 480 wide and then people had an option of where they want to position left and right? But yeah, I guess, you know, we are dependent on the design of the hardware that you're using, which is fascinating. It's not like
Really
we
good.
have like a standard smartphone form factor to work with. Like all of these devices are so different. Like somebody posted on a Reddit a couple weeks ago, like, well, tell me what device I should use because I'm doing this application. And I said, no one can tell you what device to use. You have to just try them out for yourselves. You have to find a way because they're all so different.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. Carrie, you have a question. I'm not sure I fully understand. Do you mind just unmuting and asking? I think it's for Vaze. You're on mute, Carrie. You just got to press the microphone button on Jitsi. It's on the bottom of your screen.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. I'm not in my kitchen, by the way. This is a studio. Sorry. So this is a question for you guys in general because I'm very new to all of this. So just talking about the position of text and all this kind of stuff. Translation versus object detection versus like naming something. Do you see commonalities between applications or versus personal preference? Because certain applications will have a certain preference across a general more people for a specific font or a specific sizing, for instance, versus your translation example versus the object detection example. If that makes any sense.
I have a thought on this, which is I think one of the reasons why it's been slow for AR to be adopted is because the technology developers are trying to be too broad.
Right.
They're trying to develop technology and experiences that can work for any application for anyone. And I think what we're all starting to learn is no, that doesn't actually work. You have to be micro focused on one specific customer, one specific use case, one specific person, and that's when you can make a good experience. And so I guess the answer to your question is it really depends on the person and the use case. And it's
Yes,
hard to generalize.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you look at in Vaze's demo, and Vaze, I know you're working with actual MR HoloLens too, but because the display is so small, the object recognition is tracking exactly where you're looking at and where the screen is, and so it ended up showing you the text in the exact same spot anyway, because you kind of pick one place for your screen. But Vaze has other applications, and that leads to a question I had. Vaze, so like thinking about these language learning tools, they're so cool, and it seems like it kind of blows up this huge opportunity of education in XR. Like language learning is one piece of it, but as you're modifying the world around you to help you learn things. So I'm wondering if there's other kind of areas you've thought about for improving education with smart glasses or XR in general.
Yeah, actually, after that prototype, I realized the power of like mixed reality. So having real world context with you when you're acquiring new knowledge. So like language was just a use case, like Aiden mentioned, but there are other use cases that you could learn about science or math based on like the objects that you are surrounded by. So I think like for my thesis, my entire project is to build that system that can help educators or teachers create content as easily as creating YouTube videos for education. And then others could experience it. So one of the examples like I could share is like if there's like a plant at your home, you just go towards your plant and then you see like a plant cell close to that, and you're able to learn about the functions of plant cells and like different elements of how a plant works while you're actually interacting with the plant. So it's a very different feeling than reading a book or looking at an image of a plant cell or watching a video of a 3D model of a plant cell. So I feel like this is the next revolution for education, where you're able to take the best use of the world around you and the artificial intelligence that we have to make a good mixed reality learning experience.
Cool, gotcha. Yeah, Taryn, please go ahead.
Yeah, so actually, you know what, like after listening to all of you guys, I realized like this thing has much more potential than, what I had perceived previously. And but still I gonna like keep this whole device towards like more of like entertainment and more consumer side product rather than in the industrial and other applications. So if I, let's just say, if I take it towards the consumer product where it could be used for entertainment, what are my options in terms of optics? Because I think optics is the costliest part of so far coming. So I do realize like most of you are building your prototypes based on music. So I believe, is it the cost part, that's why you're towards tilted towards the musics only, or is there any other reason for that?
And my answer for Vuzix is there aren't many glasses you can buy
Mhm.
on an online store right now that just work when you get them home with an Android OS. You can develop an Android app. Like there's not a lot of options, unfortunately. So Caden introduced us to the Inmo, which is really interesting. It's similar specs to Vuzix. Yeah, we
So it's
actually have
mainly optics, basically. Am I correct?
it's the whole experience. It's just glasses are really hard to make. They're so complicated. I mean, it's the optics, it's the form factor, it's the battery, it's the physical hinges. There's so many complicated details to make glasses, and so there's very few companies in the world that can actually make them at a commercial level and mass produce them. That's another aspect, is mass producing glasses is hard. Making one for yourself is one thing, but mass producing thousands is another. So we're just all limited by availability. So Vuzix has been doing this for 10 years, so they kind of have a leg up. Microsoft, the HoloLens is out there, Google Glass is out there. They're a little more expensive, but they're out there. So there's options out there. But I guess the blades are appealing because they're a little more affordable. They're very capable, so it's a nice platform to test on. They're not necessarily the best. They're not perfect. There's a lot of things I don't like about them, a lot of things I wish they could do. But I mean, it's amazing for just testing the concept. And then once you test and you start to learn, oh, I see what's good and what's bad, then you might start to form an opinion about what you wish you had. That might help you find even better partners that could be developing glasses that are coming out in a year or two. So I think Vuzix is compelling because it's easy to start, but it's not necessarily the final chapter.
I see.
For sure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
Tom, I wonder. I would echo what Alex has to say. It's kind of like why choose Vuzix? Well, they don't. There's no real competitors for these glasses. Like they're the only ones. Maybe the Inmo Airs. But if you're because what going all the way back to what Alex said at another previous question of, why, or what glasses should be used, they're all completely different, right? If we think about smartphones, they're a rectangle in your pocket. Maybe there's Android and iPhone. The software is different, but the form factor is exactly the same. The sensor suite is exactly the same. The human computer interface is exactly the same. But for smart glasses, they're completely all over the place. We have an article about the types of smart glasses that currently exist based on what you can buy off the shelf, and that's on our smartglasses.community website, which I'd invite you to check out. And a big reason we made that is because they're so spread out. But yeah, sorry, getting back to it, Tom, you have maybe some different requirements because you're going for enterprise. And I know I'm asking you, and you're a little biased because you're tightly teamed with Vuzix, but at some time 5 years ago or 10 years ago, you made that choice, and there was also RealWear and some others. So what made you choose Vuzix?
No, yeah, very good point. And Taram, I think you were leaning towards understanding the consumer application. So I'll do my best to circle back to that, but I'll start with enterprise. The reason for Vuzix and why I've maintained a bias and a loyalty with Vuzix on the enterprise industry side is coming from a trade background. Entering into this space, it was important to assess all the different hardware options, all the different wearable solutions, and ascertain what is going to be the winner in the long term, not just the short term, but in the long term, but what is actually effective and pragmatic for the average electrician or the mechanic. Mostly trades I speak about, but even the doctor. But what is actually effective day in, day out for the trade-like personnel? You've got to weigh up, is it light? Can it handle a certain level of temperature? How well does it operate? How effective is the heads-up display when subject to UV? Does it still have an effective brightness when taken out into so when subject to UV and out in the sun? Does it have an effective IP rating? Is it comfortable to wear? So I was weighing up all these different things, and I knew immediately, I said, if the headset, for example, this is one example out of many, if the headset weighs too much and I've got to take it off every 20 minutes, have a break, and then put it back on, that is not going to be valuable whatsoever. And that's why I identified, I could see, okay, Vuzix is quite lightweight in regards to that. It's all of these things, weight, durability, how easy is it to transport? The Vuzix headset and all of the accessories, they're actually quite small, so you can fit it into a small case. And what does this allow you to do? The cases we've made up for it allows you to take it on as hand luggage onto an aeroplane flight, or it can easily fit on the back of a trade back ute when you're taking it 300 k's down the road. It's all these small things which I identified, this is exactly what the tradesman or tradeswoman needs for being able to deploy wearables, not just all the cool technological features and capabilities, but it's actually pragmatic and easy for them to set up. Does that help answer the question, or do I need to go a bit more there?
No, I mean, I fairly, understand exactly, like, and as suspected, it's mainly, the optics and electronics, which makes it bulky or sometimes, and in terms of cost also. But there were a couple of options which I recently came across. I don't know if anybody has had a chance to experience these products. One is coming from Rokid and other is coming from Nreal. So Nreal is available in UK, I believe, and they recently launched in US as well. And Rokid is something I think which is available pretty much everywhere. You can find them on Amazon. So has anybody had a chance to use this product? And any opinions on that?
I haven't tried the Nreal glasses, but our direct competitor publicly launched this morning with the Nreal glasses. People I've spoken to have said they have a very lovely display. They're light. Some of the downsides are they are wired to a phone, and for a lot of people, that's like a no. That's like a deal breaker. Can't wear glasses just with a physical wire. That's just uncomfortable. These are for consumer applications, people walking around and trying to just have normal glasses and not a weird thing. And there's no battery in the Nreal glasses, I think. So I think the glasses are actually powered by the battery from the phone. And I've heard reports of that kind of draining your phone very quickly. So that's about all I know.
Yeah.
But
I think it depends on your requirements. You got to think first, what do you want to do? Not really what glasses are cool, but what do I want to do with them, and then go from there and figure out what you need. Like the Nreal Lite specifically is kind of tailored for MR type experiences, interfacing with the world around you. The Air is sort of about consuming content. There's no camera, but they're also tethered, so they're not meant to be worn around. So it's mostly for watching videos and such. And so I would think about what you want to do, and then try to find what systems work for you. But Sukpal has his hand up, so please go ahead, Sukpal. By the way, we are kind of fading into our conversation, which was what we were going to end with anyways, and this is definitely turning into a conversation. So anyone feel free to speak up. But yeah, Sukpal, please go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so this is exactly what I was talking about, like a good, 100 plus inch of screen, and you can watch like I don't know if it's 1080p or it's like 4K. I'm not really sure about that, but yeah, I mean that's consumer side. This is the thing actually I was really interested in. Anyways, thank you, Super.
Yeah, thanks, Sukpal. I believe you said you're watching this meeting on your, is it Nreal Air or Nreal Light that you're on? Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, that's super awesome, and I think it's really cool that we have at least one person joining our H20 Smart Glasses community meetup from a pair of smart glasses, and I think we all need to catch up with Sukhpal and call for our smart glasses next month. That's awesome. That's great. Thank you. Yeah, why don't you you should definitely follow up. Send us an email, especially about the smart glasses stuff you're doing. Maybe one of the future meetings you could present and show us how you're using the glasses and this other stuff. Um, yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Great. Yeah. Thank you, Sukhpal. Um, so with the last maybe El Michelle, there's a one question we had last week for you, and we ran out of time in our last meetup, and so I'll ask maybe if you could just sorry, I only give you about a minute to answer, but somebody asked last week how you sift through the footage, and with all that footage, how you can kind of filter it down to find what's important.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Everybody, thank you so much, Kaden. As far as how I look through the footage, it is all saved in the content management system that Snapchat has, the very basic one that they have in their just for any snap that you take. How I sift through the content, that is a really good question, considering what we just heard from Sue Paul. I what I had been doing was just kind of going month by month and looking at the footage on my phone. I recently got the In Real Airs too, and out as well, and wasn't really sure how I would use them because the journaling we do is based on using. Uh, Smart glasses or glasses that have video capability. But when I put on the In Real Air, I am now able to see my clips on a large screen in a very massive way. Instead of looking at it kind of clip by clip, I can see like pretty much the whole catalog for a month, in a ginormous way. So it's actually cut down my time to go through clips by maybe 200%. I mean, where it would really take me like maybe a week to get through a month of footage, now it takes me maybe a couple of hours. And so essentially, I was just looking at the clips through my phone just by month. But now I'm able to do that in a faster way using the In Real Airs. And I also use a companion journaling app. I've started to use that this year to kind of tag the footage as I go, as I'm recording throughout the year.
Yeah, that's awesome. And again, you are recording on one pair of smart glasses and then viewing those recordings on another pair of smart glasses. That's a very interesting workflow. I love that, and it would be great to. That might be something cool to show a demo video of you going from one to the next. So Sukpal, I see your hand. Just one sec. So we're now at the end of our time, but thankfully our meeting doesn't run out, but I know some people will have to run. So just to wrap up, thank you everybody so much for coming and for joining. This was super fun and very interesting. And we're going to have one of these every single month. So we changed kind of the setup a little bit. We're going to have these be an hour, but we'll just do it once a month. And we're going to have a similar setup every single time. And so please, there's going to be that feedback form again sent out afterwards. Please, if you have any feedback whatsoever, fill that out and let us know. This has been super fun. So I'm going to stick around on the call, and I think others might stick around as well. But yeah, this was super fun. So thank you. And Sukpal, please go ahead. Yeah, that's excellent. I've seen something about that. Do the monitors they track your head in space, so they're locked in the room around you, and then you can. Yeah, yeah, that's great. Yeah, I've seen the Lenovo A3s and the Nemo Planet. The Nemo Planet not yet released, but they're both going after this productivity type glasses with monitors, and that's I think a very valid use case for basically having multiple monitors anywhere you go. But yeah, Carrie, please go ahead.
This is actually a question for you, Cadence, more than anybody else. Since you are interested in memory, I'm interested in memory also. So I have a use case I'm trying to figure out exactly how to get started on, and one of them is a very, very, very simple use case. I'm in my house, for instance. I have a pair of glasses on. Let's say something cheap. Let's say like the Ray-Bans, right, with the simple cameras. I don't need an interface. All I want to do is I go through my house with this. It tags as much things as I want through my property, through my house, my rooms. And if I ask it, where is my keys? It tells me I have an app on my phone that tells me my keys is upstairs in this room at this place, and it should what ideally it will be a pair of glasses that I wear. But let's say for now it's the Ray-Ban because it's the cheapest one in the market. It's like $300, $400. It records images at a fairly decent thing. We could pass it off to a phone, right? And then I have a catalog of all the objects in a room as much as I can as I go through I do things normally. So when I forget stuff, I just simply want to know where my things are as a starting use case. Have you started looking at anything along that lines? I see you with the tagging on. It's really sexy, by the way. Have you guys with all the cameras and the thing inside of your? Oh, this guy's got the Ray-Bans on. No, he's got the Unreal.
Looks great.
The Unreal. It's really sexy to have the video in the camera, but that's not actually it's not the most accessible use case, if you see what I'm saying. A very simple use case is telling me where my stuff is. If I have a camera in something as simple as the Ray-Bans, right, and I could tell me where we communicate with the phone and say to me it's there, that might be a very simple use case for it comes at a lower price point because price is obviously a huge deal. I just checked the price of the Vuzix. It's $1,700 US. I'm in Toronto also, by the way, so I know you guys have been in and out of here. So it's quite a big jump to get a ordinary consumer to buy something that expensive, hoping to do that. So I want to start somewhere at the bottom of the cheapest point with the simplest application.
Sure.
So Keaton, talk to me about it.
There's a few pieces there, right? That
Yeah.
are obviously they're tied together, but tackling them one at a time. Like the first in terms of the use case itself, like there's different people who are looking at this, and it's generally called "Where is my X?"
Yes.
Because there could be all kinds of different things that you're looking for.
Mhm.
My audio is very low. You guys, can you guys hear me or?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I'll just turn it up a little bit. Sorry, yeah, it's so there are some systems that do this at a very basic level. So they'll run an object recognition model like the kind Vaze was showing us, where it recognizes keys and bottle and banana and car, and it doesn't recognize the specific one, or it might use a little bit of heuristics or rules to figure out that specific one, and then you can ask the question, and it will every time it saw keys in the last day, it'll just pull up that picture and it can show it to you, and then you can figure it out from there. It's kind of like a filtering mechanism. Now, when you're getting more specific to, like, does it answer in text where the thing is, or does it figure out, the difference between your car and somebody else's? This is, I think, a problem that's still pretty up in the air. I would look into the Ego 4D project. So Meta and Carnegie Mellon and a bunch of other people put out this big project with over 4,000 hours of point of view video, and they released a bunch of benchmarks and challenges for AI problems, and one of them is "Where is my X?" So there are teams currently competing, building open source software pipelines to try to solve that problem. Because, so just in terms of, like, completely separate from the hardware and the interface, just solving the AI problem, there's people working on that as a pure thing. And then the other aspect, like, we get to the technical, so not thinking about the products that exist, but just thinking about the glasses. Like, yes, I agree, you could build glasses. It's easier if you get rid of the display, which is, like, the hardest part, to make glasses that run for longer and can be cheaper and such. But if we're getting into the weeds of, like, deploying it, like, the Ray-Ban stories are not going to do it for you, because they don't always record, and it's very hard to get the video off. They won't stream it. You'd probably do that with something more like, like one of these spy glasses that you get on Alibaba or something that will continuously record. And so it depends on what level. It's definitely, I think it's a super interesting use case, but there's, like, there's still a stack of problems to be solved to get there, but it's definitely a great one. Thanks for the question, Carrie.
All right. I have one more question.
Sure.
If you remember, I did ask on Discord that can we have like a guide, something like step by step, like how to make these glasses? So because of maybe somebody can come up with idea like where we can basically dump a zip file and upload to printed PCB and a bill of material, everything imported, and basically it's automatically probably from, I think there is a couple companies that do that, like make PCB and put the parts themselves. So like people who do not have much time to solder all the parts, themselves, or they're not basically comfortable to, making those PCBs. So something like that, can we do that?
I think you're probably talking about the open source smart glasses.
Yes. Yes.
So I know, I'm also involved in that project, but these are sort of separate areas. So I'd be happy. You should shoot me an email and we can talk about that. The H20 smart glasses community, we're a little more focused on kind of use cases and products that exist right now. Although we are definitely interested in the building and development of glasses, but that might get a little into the weeds right now to start talking about the PCBs and such. But yeah, we can definitely try to improve the docs for the open source smart glasses for people who want to build them. Jordan said you're interested in the PCB section as well, and you're also talking about the open source smart glasses, I imagine. Thanks, Tom. Great to have you. It was super interesting. and I'm looking forward to hearing more.
Absolutely. Ladies and gents, it was really good meeting everyone here. Caden, once again, thank you for organising this, absolute superstar. And of course, anyone who wants to talk more, we'll all be continuing to talk more in these meetings. But if you want to touch base with me personally, please feel free to reach out on LinkedIn and we can go from there. Thanks very much, guys. Talk soon.
Peace out, Tom. Jordan, were you talking about the open source smart glasses when you mentioned the PCB? Okay, cool. Yeah, well, we can we'll talk about that more in the Discord. Speaking of Discord, there's a Discord for the H20 smart glasses community. I'm not sure what everyone uses to communicate. We're trying to find a common forum. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on a place that we should use just to congregate and send messages back and forth. Thus far, it's been Discord.
Caden, I had a question. So, like when everybody was discussing about Nreal Air and Nreal Light, you mentioned like Nreal Light is more for like mixed reality kind of experiences. So I
Yeah.
was wondering when Sukhpal said that like with Nreal Air you could have like world locked objects. So I was thinking if like how would it do without cameras, or is it like Nreal Light is better than that?
Well,
I just wanted to compare these two with respect to like augmented reality experiences.
yep. From what I understand, the Nreal Light is going to be using its cameras for world tracking and doing some kind of like, point field. Whereas in something that like the Nreal Air is going to use an IMU, so a inertial measurement
Okay.
unit, a sensor. So like the
Mhm.
Vuzix Blade or other glasses, they often come with a example app, like a game. And if you want to prove it's not using the camera, you can go do it in the dark. We've tried this, and it will still track the world. The Inmo Air has a interface that doesn't work great, but I think the idea is there. It just needs to work better. If of a cursor, where you just slightly move your head and it multiplies the movement of your head by 2 or 3 times, and you can use that to as a cursor to select things, and then you just tap the side to click, um, which is pretty interesting. Um, Sukhpal says it has sensors, and AR mode is the one where you select. So I think that's using the IMU, because the Air definitely doesn't have a camera. I looked at that recently.
Yes, it has a proximity sensor basically front of your between your basically eyes, and it's basically detect if you have glasses on or not. Also, you have to go to AR mode in order to select those like the screens where you want to set up those windows like up and down, such as like if you want to lay on the bed and you want to go all the way up, and then you basically it's like a laser kind of like a purple laser, and you select that window and drag it wherever you wanna. And the
Okay.
good thing is that you can bring your basically screen closer, and you can make it far like as much as you want. And there is a freestyle they keep updating basically after a couple days, keep adding more basically features basically.
Yeah,
Got it.
and speaking of these Snapdragons, well, speaking of these Nreals, they're using an XR chip. I'm just sharing my screen briefly because just yesterday, Qualcomm announced the AR2 platform Gen 1. So this is their first AR chip, and um, Nreal supports Spaces. So that's what I'm sorry, Qualcomm supports Spaces, Snapdragon Spaces, which is what Nreal is using and what a number of other companies who are doing this tethered AR experience is using. Basically, Qualcomm does all the hard stuff and gives you a chip that supports it. And that's interesting, but they're big. The chips are physically big. They're somewhat power intensive, whereas in this AR2 platform is really interesting. It's a platform that's designed in multiple chips. So there's 2 or 3 main chips, and the idea being to decrease the size of the chip itself, decrease the size, and put one in one arm and one in the other so that you can distribute them for thermal and for size to make the arms of the glasses small. It also has Wi-Fi 7, so they're saying less than 2 milliseconds of latency, which is unheard of, and our eyes can't see much below 17 milliseconds of latency. So, I mean, I don't think it's everything that they say it's going to be yet. There's, they don't have a display, and they're still talking about it being 1 watt of power, which is, even if you have a lot of batteries, that's still maybe only 3 hours. But just reminded me of this, and this is, I think, an important step forward. I think it's going to be what's powering glasses in 5 to 10 years, whereas in the next 2 to 5 are going to be more microcontroller based. But this will be, once we start moving into actual like MR in a glasses form factor and really taking advantage of these like high bandwidth sensors like cameras and such in all day glasses, this is the kind of thing that'll be powering it. Anyway, I think that this was really awesome. If anyone has anything to finish off with, please feel free. But otherwise, I think we should call it a meeting. And thank you everybody for joining. This was super fun, very interesting and educational, and I'm looking forward to the next one. And thanks, Vaze and Tom and Alex, especially for the talks.
Thanks, Caden.
Thank you, Caden. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Caden.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, bye guys. Have a great night.
See you.
Bye-bye.